Welcome to the fourth session of the Understanding Spreadsheets as an Engineering Tool. Today we're going to talk about repetition. We'll talk about naming cells, entering equations, how to do copy, how to do some paste, in particular paste special. We'll talk about how to lock cells inside a formula. We'll talk about filling, series, and transposing. These are all things that make things very fast, things that would make us go quicker in a spreadsheet. So let's start with right off the bat. We have a very simple formula here. We got the length, the width, and the height for a rectangular solid that calculates the volume. When we do that, we write down some strings here just so we know what we're talking about. This looks reasonable to me. Length, width, height, it tells me what the units are over here. Again, just strings. And then we fill in the numbers here. And I use a code of, I gray in the ones I need to know I'm going to enter a value. I use yellow to signify here's my answers. And I'll use some other colors if I got intermediate dimensions. But this makes sense to me. I could pull this up next year and I would know that this was, type in different numbers here. 2 times 3 times 3 gets me 18, gets me the volume of a rectangular. It might be nice if you actually put the word up here, volume of a rectangular solid. That might be a little nicer. But just the fact I put all the stuff around it, what isn't acceptable to me is 1 times 2 times 3 is this times this times this. And there's my answer. That is terrible. Both of them get me 18, but I don't know if this is 2 feet, 2 meters, 2 millimeters. I have no idea what these three things are. I can look at the formula and tell it's three things multiplied by each other, but it doesn't give me any clues when I return to this. So I'd much prefer to have the units listed, the names listed. But that's not what this is about. This particular topic is about, we want to name things. When I come over here and look at this formula, it says use M33 times M34 times M35. Okay? Come over here, if I look at this volume calculation says, please use length times width times height. Oh my goodness, that looks like a real formula. Let's go up here and look. It's taking the length. Well, if I'm going to cursor up here, G30, G31, G32, G33. Wait, G33 is now called length. You see this little pull down here? So this G34, it's actually called width. This isn't called G35, it's called height. So I can name everything. So I can come over here and say, boy, I don't want that to be I want that to be length. So I'm going to change this name to length. Okay? Look what just happened. When I did this over here, it's still called M33. I said, what was the length? Well, width. Oh, sorry. Change it up here. I say, I want this to be the width. Notice it grabbed the width and brought it from over there to over here. See if I can make this a little more clear. I'm going to please change this to height. And it immediately changes it to 4. It brings it over here like this. Okay, so I've already got these named, length, width, height. So over here, I'm going to call this, we'll give it a new name, length. I'm going to use a little shorter version. For width, I'm going to call this W. And for height, I'm going to call it just H. HT, height. So when I come across here and ask it, what's the formula for this? There's the formula. It says M33 times M34 times M35. I gave the name before I gave the formula. So let me type that formula in again. Equals that times that times that. Notice I'm clicking on them, but when I click on them, when I click on them, it's actually substituting the name. Look at that formula now. So I can name the cells. That is so much better when I'm entering equations. If I do it that way, I can actually do them enough that I can actually see what's going on. Okay. I have just some random numbers here. I just typed in, see the numbers here? I'm cursoring up and down. They're just random numbers across up there. The first column, I'm using an equation, and the equation is going to be 5 times what's in that column. Okay? If I take this column and copy it over here, look what it did. It says, please go grab J20, the one next to it, multiply it by 5. It took the column next to it and multiplied by 5. That's not what I wanted. I wanted this column back over here. How do I lock that first column? To lock that first column, look at this right here. I use a $ to say, please lock the F column. Quit messing with the F column. Okay? You notice that they all have a $ there? You remember that equation I just showed you a little while ago when I did the lookup table? I had $ there. If I put a $ anywhere up here, a $ says, don't let that change. Okay? I'm going to add the number 3. And I want to multiply everything in this column by that number right there. Okay? So here's my equation. I want to take that times this. Okay? And if I fill this down and say please use the same equation all the way down, I get 0. It didn't take that times that. It look at each one of them. It kept, you notice how all the numbers are changing? So let me come back up in here, and instead of going that and letting that change, I'm going to lock it. I'm going to say don't change E, don't change 57. We'll tell it to fill down this time. Now when I look at my equation, every time, you notice that every one of them is now multiplied by E57. So if I change this number to 4, they all got multiplied by 4. I'm going to change that number to 1. They all got multiplied by 1. That column got multiplied by 1. Okay, so the $ tells me to lock either the row or the column. Don't change it when I'm copying, filling, doing anything with a thing. It's please lock it. Okay, so that's locking the first column. Okay, I took that first column and I can copy it, but if I look at here, there's a formula on every one of these. If I try to copy it, remember, I get another formula. I don't want a different formula. I want that number 5. I want the number 20, 25. It's like I want to decouple it. I want to get rid of the formula. Of course, what you could do is you could just sit here and type in numbers. 5, 20, 25, 15, 10. Another way of doing it is grabbing it, telling it to copy, coming over here, and now when I do my paste, look at these different things. I can say paste normally, paste just the values, that sounds like I want, paste just the formulas, paste and transpose, that looks cool, change but only copy the format, or send it as a link to each one of them. What I really want is I just want the values. So it took this, it had formulas, I bring it over here, and now those formulas just became numbers. I got rid of the formula that created them. That's called a paste special. I use that all the time. So that's a nice way of doing it. Okay. Come down here. I am going to create a bunch of numbers. And I want the number 1. And I can sit here and type 1, return, 1, return, 1, return. Another way of doing it is grabbing it. Let me delete all these. I can grab the first one and the bottom one and say fill down. Hey, that's pretty good. I can grab this and say fill to the left. I could grab this and say fill up. Okay, fill down is by far the one we use the most. We usually type in the first one. We want a whole bunch of them. Fill is great because I use the same thing over and over again. I use the same formula. I use the same number. And you notice that all of those are ones. That goes faster. That's a fill. But what happens? This happens all the time. I want a sequential set of numbers. Okay. Okay. And again, you could sit here and type. But what if I told you were doing 100 of them? That might be a little boring. I'm going to grab the top one. Grab what I want. Come over here and say, please fill with a series, and please add one for each step. That's pretty cool. I'm going to notice this one over here. This series right here goes down by a quarter of a step. Starts at 4 and goes all the way down to 0.5. So I'm going to grab it. Go over here to fill, series, and under the step direct value, I'm going to put minus 0.25. Okay, really cool. Today is June 1st, 6/1/2019, and column a little wider. I want to do the different dates. I'm going to do a time log a little bit later, so I do fill, series, and it's going to notice, hey, you're doing a date. Do you want to do it by day? You want to do it by weekday? You want to do it by month? Would I like to have the months? I'm making a calendar. I want to know the first day of every month. I'm going to go do that. So that's another fill. I can also do it by day. Uh-oh. I went way to the bottom. Keep going up. Sorry about that. So I could grab these. Instead of going by the month, fill, series, and say please change by the day. So fill with a series is very helpful. We just saw it a minute ago, so I kind of stole my own thunder here, was sometimes you've done something in a column, but you really want it in a row. You did it in a row, you want it in a column. So one of the ways of doing that is to grab something, telling it you want to copy it. Oh, sorry. Grabbing it, telling it you want to copy it. Over here and tell it I want to paste, but I want to transpose it. So now everything remembers where it was at, but now it's on its side instead of back that way. Okay. One of the things we haven't talked about very much was, you notice these over here are descending. I've got this right here and I look at it and I go, ooh, but I really would like the 0.5 at the top and I want that to the bottom. So I can grab this, sort it, and say I want a custom sort. And I want it sorted by series down, and I want it to go from the smallest to largest. And it just sorted that array by the smallest number to the biggest number. So a sort works really good. Did transpose. That's about everything under repetition. Join me next time. We'll talk about text.